Well, on everybody on YouTube, Kobe here with another Warframe video. First, I want to thank everyone for stopping by, and I know I've been MIA for a little bit. Life's been life. I've barely been making videos, barely been playing the game. I've just been dealing with a bunch of stuff, personal stuff, and yeah. So if you're here today, thank you guys for sticking it through. I'll be sure to be uploading a lot more, especially when it comes on to this new update and all that stuff. So yeah, so continuing today's video will be, today's video will be a continuation of the series that I've been doing over the past few weeks, which is essentially going over the least used 5 Warframes, the 5 least used Warframes, going into their kits and seeing if it's a case where it's a issue with the player base, it's a case where the Warframe is just bad, or anything of that sort, if it's just the game that's leaving them behind, or whatever the case is. And I've already done Grendel, Limbo, Oberon, so only things that left it's Equinox and Banshee. I probably won't be making a full video on Banshee, primarily because I've been having a lot of issues with frame rate and recording and stuff, so yeah. So getting into Equinox's kit, her passive is essentially Equilibrium. It's just the Equilibrium mod. 10% of health orbs generate energy and vice versa. It's pretty much just a baby version of Equilibrium. For her first ability, that is Metamorphosis, this is where she changes between her different states, whether it's night form or day form. Difference is night form is more so defensive, more so crowd control, and day form is purely for dealing damage and nuking rooms, right? And when it comes on to her second ability, this is Rest and Rage. This is what I choose to subsume off, but a lot of people do prefer to keep it on here. Essentially, you either have the option to slow down enemies and put them to sleep, or speed them up, and they take a lot more damage when they're sped up, right? But yeah, it's pretty much just like damage vulnerability, and they speed up. But you want to be careful because when they're sped up, they do more damage because they're attacking a lot faster, right? And Pacify, and I don't know, this one, essentially it's pretty much the same thing as Rest and Rage. However, when it comes onto the day form, it gives you strength, and for the night form, it gives you a damage multiplier to the enemies, I believe, right? Or to your weapons. I'm not pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure what actually gets that, but that's not the case. And Mend and Maim is the icing on the cake. This is the ability that Equinox is primarily known for, right? The night form is nothing to really talk about. But the day form is what most people know about from Equinox, right? You essentially stack up a bunch of damage, and then you deal it back in a massive AoE, scaling with range, to nuke a room, right? And it's purely slash damage, right? The night form pretty much just heals you passively, right? And generates shields per kill. So it's great for your team's defensive purposes, but it really doesn't out-heal or out-generate shields when it comes on to other means or other methods. So primarily sticking to the day form would, suffice. I still choose to keep Metamorphosis because even though you can swap it out for your helmet slot and just go ahead and put on a emissive color on your Warframe to keep it in day form whenever you start a mission, I prefer to keep Metamorphosis because at times I do use the shield region or the health region depending on my scenario or my situation. This right here is the build. A lot of range, decent amount of strength. We got Arcane Energize, which is not really needed. You go ahead and swap it out. We have Energy Transfer. Essentially, whenever you transfer between day and night, you keep the amount of stacks that you've already built up to then use as damage. So, say for instance, you're in your defensive mode, then you stack up a bunch of damage by killing a bunch of enemies, then you switch over to your day form, deal a bunch of damage, nuking the entire room, right? This is the build that is essentially generates around that. And let me just go ahead and talk about what Equinox does and how she really operates. Equinox is essentially like, what would I say? It's like kinetic energy to some degree, like pouring a bunch of energy into a small ball, and then, once it can't take anymore, it explodes, dealing a bunch of damage. That's essentially how Mend and Maim works. Right, so you go ahead and stacking up a bunch of damage. Also, your teammates do stack damage for you as well, as long as they're in the range. And boom, you laid it out. So the thing when it comes on to Equinox, because Equinox was really one of my favorite Warframes, or at least the Prime was my favorite Warframe when I just started out. Right, she was like the 5th or 4th Prime that I got, and I just really loved her, especially in the circuit. In the background now, as you guys can see, I'm going through the weapons that I'm running and the setups for him. Right, and so I really like taking Equinox into the circuit because, as I said, she pretty much nukes the entire map, and she stacks damage based off your teammates. And again, with range, your teammates could be anywhere on the map and generate a lot of like damage for you. You could go ahead and deal out a couple millions of damage, but please keep in mind that the damage does have fall off. So the further away the enemies are, the less damage they'll take. Right, so the biggest concern with Equinox is the previous armor and health changes that took place in, I believe, in Jade Shadows, where slash damage kind of took a little hit, right? Slash damage kind of fell off a little bit, but it's still slash damage, still deals a bunch of damage. And realistically, the sheer amount of slash damage that Equinox puts out when she uses her fourth ability, it's nothing to scoff at, because it's really truly not the blades that are killing the enemies, it's the outright damage itself, right? So the quick interjection right here, as you guys will see, this is what I'm talking about. I'm having a bunch of frame rate drop issues. I'm not sure if it's like my laptop, because you guys know I'm doing this on an old rinky-dink MacBook Pro from 2015, and I'm playing on Switch, so you know, I've been trying to work on getting myself a PC, you know, but that's gonna take some time. So yeah, please bear with me. That's why I haven't really been so like crazy about making videos, because it's getting to a point where I have to be cutting out very big chunks of video for that, or to at least make it look watchable or passable, I guess. I don't want to be associated with like poor content and just talking. I really do want to give you guys the best experience here. So yeah, back to Equinox. When it comes on to her, it's more so a case where you need an armor strip, because though armor isn't really that big of a deal anymore, slash damage still gets a lot taken off, or a lot reduced by armor, right? And that's just the way it works now. So when it comes on the Equinox, a lot of people don't use her because they don't necessarily know how to use her. As you guys will see, the most popular subsume for Equinox would be Terrify, because it is probably the biggest or the widest range full armor strip in one cast. Please guys, take it from me here. If you're gonna go ahead and run this setup, please use some Tau Force shards or some shards for casting speed. I took off my casting speed shards to put them on a different Warframe, forgot to put them back on. That was a while ago, but yeah, put some casting speed shards on this Equinox. You'll thank me later if you decide to run it. And yeah, so going back into it, Equinox is a really good Warframe. Like, she's probably the most consistent nuker in the game. She probably nukes rooms or nukes maps the most consistently, right? And it's crazy to say that she's barely used, because a lot of people can't either. Some people think it's too tedious to go about stacking up damage and releasing it, then stacking up damage and releasing it, and doing that whole thing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? And which is understandable. You play how you want to play, but I still say she's still a good Warframe for those who really enjoy her and those who want to play with her. The only thing that I can say would be to a big benefit of her kit itself is not so much leaving, not saying much taking away the option for Subsume for Terrify, but what I would like to see them do for her is, since she's purely slash damage based, and she has great CC, or good CC. She has great CC because Rest puts the enemies to sleep, and even Mend and Maim. Maim even the bunch of slash damage that you're dealing to the enemies, it does stagger them to some degree. So the initial walk that they walk into your radius, they're getting staggered. So it does work for CC as well. So she's great with CC. But what I'd say is to essentially bolster her damage, or not even really bolster her damage, make her damage more consistent, or keep it in a line, would be to Rest and Rage, or Pacify, and whatever one is to go ahead and put some form of armor strip in that, because hey, the enemies are resting, they're unaware, they're losing armor, they're not, you know, the enemies are enraged, they're more focused on damaging than actually defending, therefore they're losing armor, you know, something like that. But in reality, that's really all I have to say about Equinox. She's a really good Warframe. I think you guys should try her out. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of her and how you guys feel about this. And yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you all so much. Love you all. Peace.